Hey guys, it's Cam from Craft & Tailored. In this episode of What Is On My Wrist, we're talking about a very rare bird. God, I'm trying to film an episode. Hey guys, it's Cam from Craft & Tailored. In this episode of What Is On My Wrist, we are talking about a rare bird. We are talking about, we're actually talking about a watch, not a bird. We are talking about an Angelus Medical mono-pusher chronograph. It's not really a chronograph, but it's a very rare watch. It's really interesting, and I'm a bit obsessed with it. So let's get into the details. Angelus Medical mono-pusher chronograph was basically a doctor's watch, or a watch that was designed for the medical professional. So it's essentially a tool watch, a watch that was designed with a purpose in mind. And it basically is a pulsations measuring device that also tells the time. So really, really interesting watch. There's not too many of these around there. Obviously the market was very small, limited. So I'm pretty sure like your physician would have worn a watch like this. And there's some design features that make the watch very cool and interesting from a horological perspective. You know what I'm saying? Hashtag that, David. Horological perspective. Just whisper it. Whisper it in your David. It's horological perspective. So Angelus is a well-known watch brand among the collecting community. So if you're a watch collector, you may have probably heard of the Angelus brand before. More specifically for their early chronographs and the movements and designs and kind of all that stuff. The Angelus brand helped shape what we know today as kind of like the standard chronograph. And the brand was actually founded in Switzerland in 1891 by the Stolz brothers. It wasn't until 1925 when Angelus started making strides and found their niche within the watchmaking world when they debuted their first mono-pusher chronograph. And then from there, they produced several watches that collectors love today, most notably the Chronodato. David, show a picture of a Chronodato. Thank you. See, awesome watch. So Angelus created specific and purpose-built chronographs for some very interesting applications, such as pulsations, made to be measured, made to be used to measure, a pulse, and obviously this is one of the most rare and sought-after examples in the Angelus Medical lineup because it was specifically designed for doctors or those professionals within the medical field. And from a design and kind of artful perspective, is that a word, artful? From an artistic perspective, there we are. Really interesting watch with a lot of subtle details, which we are definitely into. Really, really cool. The mono pusher variant is the most desired model. Most mono pushers are a modified version of some kind of movement, and they're pretty cool, regardless of the brand. So mono pushers are very interesting and generally sought after, but within the Angelus brand, and specifically the medical, the mono pusher is definitely the most desirable, as it features a modified Valjoux 22 to basically accommodate that mono pusher design. But I think outside of just the modified Valjoux 22 and outside of it being a mono pusher, it's the overall design of the watch that really makes this kind of sought after from a collector's perspective, and we'll go into those details now. It's kind of a quirky design. It's got this large pulsation scale that basically runs from 1 o'clock all the way down into the 3 o'clock position. And what's super interesting, but also I think a design feature that makes this really interesting is it basically has this kind of C-shaped cyclops that runs along the outer side of the crystal from that 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock position. And it basically magnifies the pulsation scale on the outer side. So if we start the chronograph, we can basically see the I guess you could call it the sweep seconds hand or the chronograph hand, move through the pulsation scale, and it allow you to basically take a pretty accurate reading, and also magnifies the tip of that hand so that you can see it on kind of the outer track, which is really, really cool. So really interesting. The cool thing is the running seconds hand is located at the 9 o'clock in the small subdial, and the coloration of the dial is very cool. It's kind of like this like matte silvery kind of like color, which is really pleasing. And then the start of the pulsation scale is in red. it goes into black, and then it moves into green. So it's kind of a colorful dial as well. Just really interesting. And from a design perspective, you have base 10 pulsations, and then you also have a base 5 respiration scale kind of on the inner track here. So really kind of thoughtful, interesting watch. And I think the thing that I think about is like, if you're a doctor and you're, working a shift or something like that, you're gonna be using this a lot. Not just to check the time, you're like, when am I starting? When am I getting off? When do I need to check up on that patient? But, I think taking somebody's, pulse or, measuring their respirations is gonna be something that you're doing a lot. And I think it's just super cool. But again, very artful watch. I love the case on this watch. It basically is like a broadside case, so there's no chamfering or anything like that. It's basically kind of like a blunt side to the case. Big single mono pusher, and then a really nice winding crown for the manual non-self-winding movement, which is again a modified Valjoux 22. So really cool watch. The size of the watch is actually 38 millimeters, so it's not 36, it's not 40. It's kind of in a sweet spot between. It's not an overly thick watch, but the crystal definitely does stick up off the case a little bit. Not sure if you can get that there, Nick, but I think it's kind of a very cool design feature. So in any case, I'll provide a link in the description below to check this one out. The condition of this watch is absolutely phenomenal. The watch remains unpolished. It retains the original crystal, which is something that is pretty hard to find because it's a pretty specific crystal. So if you don't source a watch with this crystal, it's pretty hard to find one. And the overall condition of the dial, hands, luminous material is just incredible. So very cool watch. I love this Cyclops, especially like if you're driving or if you're kind of rotating the wrist, you can kind of see the magnification. It's just a really interesting kind of like well thought out piece. So I'll provide a link in the description above and below so you can check that out. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not doing so already, check us out on Instagram @CraftandTailored. And if you've got watch questions, we're here and happy to help. Drop us a line at info@craftandtailored.com. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you in the next one.